silver girl. Now for another slow song. Just kidding. There's a feeling of expansion in my chest. There's a knowing that this day will be the best. There's a quiet voice that speaks above the rest. This spirit rising. There's a rumble in the earth beneath my feet. There's a knowing that I'm perfect and complete. There's a light in me that darkness can't defeat. This spirit rising. There's a tingle in the space around my heart. There's connection to this world that I'm a part. There's a joy in my new life without a start. This spirit rising. There's a joy in my new life without a start. This spirit rising. I actually stole that song from Ty Stevens, and I was feeling guilty about it for like a whole year. And then I was at a gig with them recently, and so I I decided before I went in I was gonna pay him, right? And so I put, I won't say how much money, but it's significant, into an envelope. And so I kind of slipped it to him, you know. And then he was totally shocked. And then he goes, look, you can sing that song whenever you want. I want everybody to hear it. So, you know.
Oh,
so now I don't feel guilty.
We have permission. We can leave it on our YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Yay! So that's James Brough and Richie McClusky on drums and really cool other stuff. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. Those of you who are here in person, it's always awesome to have you here. And in all those of you that are watching us virtually, which I know will last forever. And so we're glad that we are together in that kind of new way, right? So today we have the October theme, which is going further together. And the topic today is we belong together. We have Theo, Tilton, assisting today, and he's going to do a really cool process because he's preparing for our next Prosperity Plus program. So what I'm going to talk about today, and I am Frankie Timmers, I'm the spiritual director here, in case somebody doesn't know me, is the idea of togetherness and the sense of belonging. And a reminder that even though we might feel alone at times, we truly never are. And then how we use the science of mind philosophy to ask the deeper questions. For example, how come I can feel alone in this world, right? And then the deeper practice that's available for us. Is that me breathing or? All right. So, and then we talk about healing, which is really about letting go of sense of separation and feeling that connection, fostering the truth of oneness. So we are Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, and you can find us on the World Wide Web. That's also a place where you can give, very easy ways to do so. If you need more ways, there's a sheet on the back. My personal preference is text to give. It's so easy that it's easy to make a mistake, which I know isn't really ever a mistake. And if you are on Facebook, interact with each other, let us know you're here, ask any questions, make any comments, share our page and share all the things that are showing up on our page. That's workshops and classes. I'm teaching a relationship workshop on Thursday night on Zoom. You must register. And then next Sunday, we're doing it in person. And a couple of people asked if you could come to both. Of course, you can come to both. So grab the flyer in the back. It gives you a little more information. Michael is teaching his next Chakra workshop, which is also on the back table. If you're here, that's the third eye Chakra workshop. This time it's going to be on a Tuesday night, which is Tuesday the 26th. And then there's another flyer for a workshop with Kat Roman. Those of us who did the mandala drawing, which was so fun, there's going to be another one in November. So let us know, too, if you have any particular need of support, because we're here to offer that to you. So let's do an opening treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. I invite you to close your eyes and to hear this as if your higher self is whispering into your heart. In this very moment, as I open my mind, my heart, my body, my soul, I fluidly move into the oneness of all life, the place where separation does not exist. And I realize that where I experience a sense of separation is exactly the portal to me experiencing a greater sense of oneness. So today I open my mind, my heart, my body, and my soul to healing, which is spirit revealing itself by means of its creation, which means by means of me. And so when I say I, me, my, I simply speak from that higher place in all of us where we're already one, where we're already connected. Trusting this place to reveal itself in the perfect ways is the modus operandi today as we serve humanity beyond this place, but also this particular place, in remembrance that life is sacred, always, in all ways. And the more we recognize that, the more it becomes our experience, and the more it becomes our experience, the more we are in service in the world from that place of sacredness, and the more we witness healing taking place. So we are grateful today, not just to be this community, not just for our teaching, but for the gift that each of us is uniquely sharing in the world as an aspect of the healing that is taking place. With awe and gratitude, then, we let this word go, knowing it shall never return to any of us void. And so it is. So we have two licensed practitioners at the center. They are Gail Belluardo and Theo Tilton. But now, part of our practitioner core, we have two practitioner students, which is Lori Carlson and Gail Jones. And Reverend Janice Valera is now officially on our roster of licensed practitioners. So you have 5 people you can reach out to for support. And right now, Theo is going to share his brilliance with a spiritual practice and letting you know about his next class.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you? Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. My name is Theo Zolton. I'm a licensed practitioner here at the center. This is my 8th year. Can't believe it. I think it took me 7 years to get it. So I've been here for like 15 or 16 years. So the message last week from Reverend Janice was about community, right? Common unity. That there's something that we all share inside of this circle of community. But inside of the greater, more broader community, which is humanity, there's many, many attributes that we talk about at this center that we share. That all there is love, right? All there is connection. All there is oneness and unity, spirit, interconnectedness of things. A lot of that stuff is invisible, right? Because spirit is not something that we necessarily see. We see the physical, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the feeling, the touching. But there is something that we share in the mind and heart connection that is common. It's part of the human experience, and that is longing. Your heart's longing. There's a longing. There's an expression of spirit, which is a spiral, ever-growing, ever-expanding experience of life that spirit itself wants to experience through you. We call that longing. And so we're going to dive in a little bit. You may have, when you walked in, there was a little tiny sheet of paper. If you did not get it, there's some at the entrance to the sanctuary, and a pen. And we're going to do a little process. We're going to dive in and see what this longing brings out within us. So I just want you to close your eyes for a little moment. Take a nice deep breath. Feel the seat beneath your buttocks. Right? Allow yourself to smile. That was funny. Feel how the floor feels on your feet. That's it. It connects. Take another deep breath. So there's something inside of us. There's this creative power, this juice, this energy, this flow, this ever-expanding growth that wants to flourish and come out. Now, part of our life up until now is a physical representation of this growth. The life we live right now is something that has sprouted and grown into the the flower, the plant that we are right now. And so inside of each and every single one of us, there's an even bigger version, an expression that wants to be born out. And so right here, right now, I want you to think for yourself. Just take about a minute. In the area of your physicality, your health, your well-being, the body, the mind, the heart, the lungs, the organs, the skin, how you embody and live inside of this world through this vessel we call the human body. Is there a longing? I want you to take inside. Is there something that you'd love to have be better, bigger, more? Maybe there's a challenge that you'd prefer it's not there. How would you want it to be? Now in a moment, you're going to open your eyes and you're going to write down in just a couple of sentences what came up for you. Open your eyes. Now write that down. In the area of health and well-being, what is the thing inside of you that just desires to be creative? A few more moments. And when you're ready and you're done, you can close your eyes again. Now that piece of paper is folded into fours. You're going to use another clean section. But first, bring into mind right now love, connection, relationship, friendship, family, co-workers, the area of human connection. Is there an area of your life that connection doesn't seem so the way you want it to be? What do you want it to be like? In every area. Even if there's just that one specific relationship that you'd rather be improved. Or maybe how you show up in the whole world is there for you to connect to. What wants to be created? What wants to expand through you in the area of love and relationships? Open your eyes, pick a clean section, and write down what came to you. Just a few more moments, and when you're ready, close your eyes. This expansion, this growth that's seeking to come out shows up in every area of your life, including what you do, whether it's paid or unpaid. Whether it's volunteering or a career, or maybe you're an entrepreneur or a new author or a teacher. Doesn't matter what it is, but there's this area of life, of service. Service and vocation. What it is that you put out and create out into the world. Is there an area of that particular segment of life that doesn't jive energetically, it doesn't feel right, and you have a greater vision for what it is. In the area of service and vocation, what is the thing that wants to get created and expanded out through you? How would you want it to be? What would you love? Open your eyes and write that down. And when you're ready, close your eyes again. I can already feel the energy shifting. The last quadrant. Freedom. Freedom from all restraints. Time, money, anything and everything. How freedom wants to express itself. How free are you? How free do you want to be? What would you love? How would that show up? Would it show up as a beautiful vacation in Hawaii twice a year? What wants to express itself through you? As an experience of life, our birthright of freedom, how does that want to show up in your life? How do you spend time? And what are you doing when you spend that time? In the area of money and time, freedom, what would you love? Now write that down. And when you're ready, close your eyes. There is something so big, life itself. It's always growing and it's always expanding. That's why we're here. So that it, the thing itself, experiences its own life through the interaction of unity and expressing itself through us as us. These 4 answers that you gave from what you would love. Up until now, what has held you back from having that life? What has held you back? You can flip the paper over, and if you want to write it down really quickly, you can. Whatever comes up for you. What has held you back? Maybe it's fear, it's anxiety, not knowingness. I'm not enough. I'm too afraid. What is it for you? My last question for you. And you can do this with your eyes open. Can you just forgive yourself for whatever you put in the way? whatever you put there, the thing that stopped you. Because ultimately, the thing that stopped you was you. So can you forgive yourself? Yes?
Yes.
Amen. Very good. It was a little bit longer than I expected, a few minutes longer. However, it was well worth the little journey. Don't you agree?
Yes.
So you, right now, have already demonstrated something. You have already demonstrated a process that we do at a much deeper level in the Prosperity Plus program, which I am a certified life mastery consultant with Brave Thinking Masters Institute, and I've taught this class already, I don't know, a dozen times it seems. And we have a new one coming up. It's the last Wednesday of October. It starts. It'll be on Zoom, 7 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Prosperity Plus 3 with me in your own home, on your computer or phone. And it is a spiritual practice of creating the life that you truly want to live. I took this class for the first time 5 years ago. And I created, I'm looking at Gail, and I created that I was going to become a best-selling author. And over the years, the idea for the book and all this stuff came around, and people came into my life, and all of a sudden all these authors started showing up, and then there was Gail, and she said, hey, I have this coach for you, and she promotes all these best-selling authors, and she gives you all the tools you need, and I'm going to be launching my book in the next 4 to 5 weeks to become a best-selling author. And that was created in Prosperity Plus. I also created that. I was leaving corporate America after 20 years. That's done. That has happened. I also went from a time when I was bankrupt completely. Immensely exposed emotionally, financially, spiritually, relationally. And just a few short years later, after taking that first Prosperity Plus class, I became a millionaire. Anything is possible when you take this class. Anything. So I invite you to take it. Wednesdays, starting October 27th, there's flyers in the back. For those of you online, if you're on our mailing list, you will see an email come through with a link, or you could just simply go to Facebook or our website, cslmorristown.org, and register for the class. It is a tithing-based class, and the whole practice of tithing activates a law called the law of reciprocity, the giving and receiving. So as I give, I receive. So thank you for your time today. I've enjoyed being up here with this practice with you. If you have anything you'd like to share with me after service, come see me. Thank you. And so it is.
I forgive them.
So good. Thank you, Theo. I had some wonderful insights today. I hope everybody did. So I love that the word longing is in the word belonging. Because what we learn on the spiritual path is that there's never any separation. So what we find as we deepen our connection with ourselves is that we are to be our longing. And if we're not being our longing, we think it's somewhere out there and something or someone is going to fulfill it, then we're not being that and we're feeling a disconnect, right? So I think that most of you have some kind of an experience when we are together, whether it is on a Sunday or a workshop or something social or an event. What is it that you notice when you are together with those of like mind, those of this kind of spiritual community or teaching? What do you notice?
Connection.
Connection. You feel a connection. Yes. What else?
Safe.
Comfort.
Safe.
Safety. Yes.
And ease.
Ease.
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Transcendence.
Transcendence.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Joy.
Joy. Who doesn't want that? Right? And so that's why we show up here. We have so many examples of it. On Sunday, we met at the Morristown Festival on the Green, and we had such a great time. It's always so much fun. I did a wedding in New Providence, so I only got to visit a little bit because I had to go. And Val was so kind to facilitate all that, and John, of course, was her helper. And we had some wonderful volunteers. Some of you were here. Many of our leadership council members served. There's Franny, there's Fernando, who made these really cool shirts. He made that. Got joy. See this? And we had Carolyn was there, and then because Michael lives farther away, and he had his music, his spirit was there. Bashi showed up to help pack up and put everything away. Bill and Gail were there supporting everybody. We had Jean Lee there supporting everybody and bringing people over to the booth. And we had Eileen Gantz there, who was also sharing her beautiful, bright spirit, as most of you know. And so there was a wonderful gathering, and there were all those feelings, right? Connectedness, friendship, acceptance, love. And that was the intention of us being there, to spread the kind of gift and blessings that we get from our community. And so I am so aware that community has a U in it. Community, as Theo shared and Reverend Janice shared, is this idea that when we show up somewhere, we bring something. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, you and I are spiritual broadcasting stations. So it's really good to think about that when we show up somewhere, we bring a unique gift, a unique self, a unique experience of love. And if that's absent, we bring something different than when that's present. When that's present, and when that's conscious, it's different than when it's not conscious, right? And so there's this wonderful absence and we can go faster, but together we can go further. If you're anything like me, or how I used to be, I'm not that way anymore, thank God. I used to think, I'll just do it alone because I can do it quicker and easier and faster. I don't need anyone. That doesn't quite work. That makes you feel very alone, right? And at some point you're going to resent it. So the idea is to remember that you're always part of a tribe, whether it's the town you live in, the neighborhood you live in, the family you have, the tribes that you are a part of, the people that you hang out with, and of course this spiritual community. And so this spiritual community is what it is because of what each of us brings. And I don't know exactly what the future looks like, but I know that what we bring today creates the future to come. And so we're going through a lot of changes with our spiritual community. And we're going to be planning a town hall meeting to talk about that and to explore that. I want to start visioning sessions to kind of say, who are we today and who are we becoming? And each of you have such a beautiful gift to share. And so when we think about this idea of community, it comes back to this concept of love, right? Llewellyn Vaughan Lee, who is my Sufi teacher, my meditation teacher, says this in a recent article. In the last years, I have come to see that we are children of a civilization that has lost its way, that has put financial profit before well-being, and is pathologically destroying its ecosystem. And unless we find our way back to love and care for each other and for the earth, knowing how we're all part of one community, all of our efforts will not bring the world into balance. Those of us who have looked through the cracks in our present civilization know that it is dying. That stories of green economic growth are just fairy tales. Our present way of life is simply unsustainable. We need a new story. A story that connects us to the earth and her sacred nature, and knows how we're all interconnected, and this primary connection is love. If you started getting depressed when you listened to me, that's a good thing, because I truly believe that most of humanity right now is experiencing deep grief. And unresolved grief turns into dis-ease. Some of you have said to me, oh, people seem so depressed and angry and frustrated and annoyed. Look at all the divisiveness we experience in this land, in the world. Well, that's ungrieved grief, people. That's trauma that is going underground, that is not being dealt with. And so it's on a spiritual path that we look at that and we do our own healing for ourselves, which then facilitates healing of others. And so grief and love is interconnected. When you love, you grieve, and when you grieve, you love, because whenever you feel grief of a loss of a loved one, it's a gift because it means you loved, and we're loved. So if we can look at the sense of oneness and the sense of connectedness and the sense of love and belonging, and focus on the gift of that rather than feeling that sense of separation and grieving that. And so what is this whole thing then called loneliness? I always say I find it very interesting that on a planet of almost 8 billion people, anyone can ever feel lonely. And what if loneliness is the gift and the blessing to connect with that sense of belonging that is absolute, because you and I belong to the universe, to spirit, to love. And you and I belong to one another. And we belong to those who love us. And so if we feel lonely, we're saying something that isn't true. And it wants to be healed and transformed so we can be the instrument of greater sense of connection to one another. In Science of Mind, in our teaching, the question is always, what do I believe? When I feel a challenge, when I'm struggling, when I'm suffering, I must ask the question, because it's my spiritual responsibility, what do I believe here? Knowing that I'm a spiritual broadcasting station, and I manifest what I believe, I share what I believe, it behooves me to take a look when something isn't quite working for me and say, what is it I believe and how can I bring it back into alignment with the truth? So the question is, what in me, what in you feels separate? When do you feel separate? And what is that? Because the reason it is up for us is because it wants to be healed, so it can be a healing seed in the world that we long to see changed. There's a wonderful story, and I'm not sure where it came from, but it showed up in some of the writings by Jalaluddin Rumi, the 12th century Persian poet. And the story is about Moses meeting a shepherd. And Moses witnessed the shepherd praying. And the shepherd was praying very passionately, very emotionally, very touchy-feely, very intimate. And Moses said, that's not how you pray. It's the wrong way to pray. And he got angry. And then God showed up. And God said, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing? And he was very displeased with Moses. And Moses said, what? And God said to Moses, do you come here to unite or to sever? He was basically saying to Moses, you think you're better than the shepherd? And so we get to ask ourselves those questions, right? Do I come to unite or do I come to sever? Wherever you and I judge and we think we're better than somebody else or than other groups, that's where we show up to sever, because we're saying, I'm better, they're different. And that creates that crack, that sense of separation, not in the ones we are judging, but within ourselves, right? And so that's where we get to ask the question, well, what is mine to be now? What is mine to do now? And that's where gratitude can be the avenue for healing. Gratitude can be the avenue for us to show up in a different way, in a more united way. And we get to ask ourselves the question, what is it that I'm withholding when I am in a state of severing instead of uniting? What gifts am I withholding? And why am I withholding this gift? this true, pure self that I already am. And that comes from a place of remembrance that all life is sacred, that we're all connected, that we're all brothers and sisters. And this allows for us to heal that sense of separation that we have within ourselves or that we have towards the world. I know it's a big task, but that's the responsibility that it comes not only with being human, but being on a spiritual path, right? And as we take that responsibility and truly work with it, not only do we heal, but so does everything and everyone around us. And what we learn there is that a sense of separation isn't real anyway. It's a lie. Whenever we feel separate from ourselves, from each other, from God, from the universe, from others, it's because we are in that moment believing in the lie of separation, which is impossible. And so the idea of belonging and being in this together is this idea of fostering a sense of oneness. And the word fostering has at its root to nourish, to feed. It's connected to food. Who doesn't like food here? Anybody not like food? I see you on Facebook with your yummy food. So we are always in a place of an opportunity to foster oneness, to foster connection, to foster love. And it's okay to notice when we can't or won't or feel separate, because that's when we need to foster that connection within ourselves so that we will go out in the world, it's freely given. So how do we do that? Well, I think we start by remembering that we always belong. That whenever we feel we're not belonging, it's because we are experiencing a lie, a sense of separation. And it's an invitation to connect more deeply to ourselves, to our essential self. To remember how blessed we are. I was in a store the other day, and I don't often go to a regular grocery store because I try to do farmer markets and individually owned health food stores, because that's how I like to show up in the world. And I was in a regular grocery store, and for some reason I was walking down the cereal aisle. And I was thinking about all the people who are now living in refugee camps that don't even have food. And I'm like, we don't realize how blessed we are, how much we have. We still walk around ungrateful at times, right? And so then what we want to do is to really seek out, to really see, to really be in the awareness of the oneness of all life. And to live from that in how we show up in the world, in our actions. Whether you're cleaning your toilet, thank God for toilets, or your sink and doing the dishes because you got to eat today, or drive your car because you got to drive today, and then have to take a bus or a train. Some of us sometimes do, right? And so to just really be so present with that and so filled with gratitude for that, that the broadcasting station, who we are, shifts into a healing gift, healing broadcast. To remember that life is sacred and that our beautiful planet is sacred, and to walk on it from the awareness that all is sacred. I know we don't do that all the time, and we can't do it all the time. So that requires a little forgiveness, right? But it's just noticing and being aware. And then it's to serve a higher vision. Maybe you just wrote it down with Theo's practice today. Or to serve the higher vision of CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living, living in a world that works for everyone, contributing to a world that works for everyone. Or maybe it is our vision, being love in action. Being love in action. And then, of course, our spiritual practices. Visioning reveals what is ours to do. Treatment allows us to heal where we feel separate. Service is a way to express our gratitude and to allow circulation to not only fill and fuel and nourish life outside of us, but life within. And then to continue to invite the people that you know to that same place, whether it's to invite them here or to invite them to be more kind with themselves, more gentle with themselves. I remember many years since I've been in this country where people complained about being alone or lonely for Thanksgiving. And I lose my patience with that. Because I say to them, go serve in a soup kitchen and see what happens. Go serve at the soup kitchen and see what happens. I pretty much can guarantee that when somebody is lonely at Thanksgiving and they go to serve at a soup kitchen, that they'll walk out of that soup kitchen a little differently. We belong together. You belong to universal love. You belong to those who love you, and they belong to you. What is missing there? What's missing is to be the longing. See, the universe longs for us to see ourselves the way it sees us. And when we allow longing to be a fulfillment instead of a missing piece, then we are part of the healing that is taking place. You belong to yourself. You are worthy of self-love. And you belong in this life. And belonging in this life means that you have a very unique contribution to make. If you don't know what that is, sometimes that's just an excuse to not contribute. And sometimes you just need a little nudge, a little assistance, a little support. That's why we have practitioners. That's why we're here together. That's why we do classes and workshops, okay? So that you can be reminded. Because we want to be in a space of uniting instead of severing. So let's close that with a healing treatment. So in this very moment, as we allow words heard to fall on the fertile soil of our consciousness, we allow what we hear and what we're reminded of to dissolve anything that's in the way, whether we're conscious of it or not. Because we belong to God, to Spirit, to universal life, beyond what we can comprehend with our human mind. Our soul knows. Our heart knows. The truth inside of us already knows. So today we listen more deeply, we surrender more powerfully, and we trust this word, knowing that the truth spoken is the healing word, ever available to us, ever transforming us, ever awakening us to being all that Spirit knows us to be. And I know that each of us has a unique way of serving, a unique way of broadcasting truth. And so we lovingly embrace ourselves where we forget or have forgotten. We lovingly forgive ourselves for a sense of separation. And every time we do, healing happens. And healing just means Spirit reveals itself. That is not just for us, but for the world. To see, to know, to feel, to experience, and to welcome. And it does. because I know for sure that whenever we feel blessed and bless something or someone, there is a big shift in the global consciousness that allows for healing to happen. And so with awe and gratitude for this and so much more, we turn this word over to the universal law, which I know demonstrates it for the highest and best of each one hearing this word. And so it is. So right after our celebration is over, your leadership council and the practitioner students will be going downstairs because we're doing a retreat. So I want you to just bless that experience, because the whole intention of the retreat is to feed, to support, to nourish the leadership council, because we've all been working really hard and have done a lot of good work, which you'll hear about at the town hall meeting. And so just remember that in your heart. Send your good vibes to the Leadership Council, which again is Val, stand for a moment. Fernando, stand for a moment. Franny, stand for a moment. Michael, stand for a moment. Carolyn, which I'm sure she'll be here. And myself. Let's give ourselves an... Yes, and thank you practitioners and practitioner students for facilitating it. We're going to have some fun from noon to 3. So excuse us for running downstairs and being together. You're welcome to stay up here and share with each other and say hello and do whatever it is that you love. All right, so now we have a little more music.
Be careful, they're really strong, when you should go. And if we spend the day throwing stones at one another, 'cause I don't think I wear my hair same way you do. Well, I might be kind of people, but I am your brother. And when you strike out, try to hurt me, you're just hurting you. Walk a mile and two. Walk a mile in my shoes. Before you do, criticize and abuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Or you accuse, criticize and abuse. Walk a mile Thank you.